Overwatch 2's third competitive season is finally here, and with it come a whole bunch of updates to some of your favorite heroes. In today's video, we're going to talk through some of these changes, and I'm going to give what I think are going to be some staple picks for early days in Season 3's meta. The Valentine's season is upon us, but you'll never dazzle that special someone while you're still hard stuck in Overwatch competitive. So if you're trying to level up your game so you can impress that Valentine this year, you should head over to GameLeap.com. Over there, you'll find hundreds of guides and more being added every single week, all designed to instantly help you rank up and take you from zero to hero. And this month only, use the code on screen for a special discount. And with all those savings, you can even buy a second membership for your favorite duo partner. So what are you waiting for? Click on the link below and start your GameLeap membership today. Let's kick things off in the tank line with Junker Queen. She received a slight buff this patch, gaining an extra 25 HP, which isn't really that much, but it definitely helps. But the real buffs to Junker Queen are the nerfs that other standard frontline picks receive. Both Orisa and Ramatra got significantly nerfed on this patch, making the frontline open for contesting. And of course, we can't forget the Hog nerfs that basically took him off the map entirely by removing his one-shot combo. All these changes could lead us back into a dive-centric meta where Junker Queen can shine. All the damage that she puts out and the disruption from her knife pulls alone makes Junker Queen an excellent match for any dive tank. But if the Queen isn't really your style, maybe you'll want to try out Reinhardt. Rein's received a variety of changes this patch. His charge is a little bit faster, his fire strike now deals 100 damage again like it did in Overwatch 1, and his Earthshatter won't one-shot headshot people anymore, but the stun duration is going up slightly, making follow-up kills much easier to find. And maybe one of the weirder changes, it's kind of hard to tell whether this is a buff or a nerf, his primary fire knockback is being reduced, which means people won't get knocked around by hammer swings quite as much. You won't be able to get environmental kills as often, if anyone was actually doing that, but it might make it easier to follow up on single targets since they won't be bashed around while you're swinging on them. In any case, the biggest change here is definitely the fire strike damage upgrade. 100 damage with 2 charges means you can 2-shot squishy members if they don't get any healing, and it means an old combo, a favorite of mine, is back on the menu, the window fire strike. With Baptiste amplification matrix, fire strikes will now one-shot 200 HP targets, so look to combo this whenever you can. And moving on to another tank who's received massive buffs, we've got Wrecking Ball. 150 of his health has now been changed to shields, which really doesn't sound like much, but is massive when you think about it. In case you didn't know, any shield health that your hero has will automatically regenerate after you don't take damage for a short amount of time, kind of like the support passive. Couple this with the fact that Wrecking Ball's playstyle constantly has him going in and out of fights, often taking cover where he's not receiving any damage, and this means that he might not even need to go get health packs before he's ready for a new engage. He's constantly going to be getting that shield health back. And in addition to that, they've reduced his pile driver cooldown by 2 seconds and his minefield arming time by half a second. This means he'll be able to follow up more of his engages with those pile drivers, and it means his minefield all-ins will be more punishing to stacked up enemies. I'm telling you guys, dive is back. Get ready for it. Alright, moving on to the DPS line. There weren't too many changes that we saw here, mainly just changes to the ultimate costs of different heroes, but there are a couple standouts for sure. I want to start off with an honorable mention to Sombra here. I don't think she's top 10 material for the meta or anything like that, but I do think that if Ball becomes a problem, she will definitely shine. And she's got an extra 0.5 damage on every bullet she fires now, so you'll see more EMPs as well. But someone I do think has massive potential in this patch is actually Soldier 76. While not massive, he's had some significant changes to the way his recoil works. Should be much easier to keep your crosshairs stuck on your targets, which means your damage now comes out like a laser. Look to use Soldier anytime you're going up against characters without too much mobility, since this very consistent damage from range will keep him at the top of the damage charts for sure. And for our other DPS picks, we unfortunately have to talk about heroes who weren't touched by this patch, and we're going to be looking at Sojourn and Ashe primarily. At a high level, Sojourn is still going to feel untouchable. She has not been nerfed in any way this patch, which means she still has all of her mobility, burst damage, and one-shot potential with any sort of damage boost on her railgun. But if you don't find yourself using all of Sojourn's kit to its maximum potential, I think Ashe is another untouched hero here that is still going to be very oppressive. Burst damage is still extremely strong in Overwatch. If you're dying before you can even get a fight set up, it's probably because of these one-shots that are still in the game. Thankfully, Widowmaker did get nerfed, so we'll probably be seeing less of her in this patch, but Ashe is still untouched like I mentioned, and she still offers a very strong burst from her headshots as well as from her dynamite and AoE. Alright, let's move on to supports. And everyone, now's the time to light up your torches and get your pitchforks ready because we're going to talk about the Mercy changes. I'll start this off by saying Mercy will always be popular, regardless of the meta, but I do think that these changes still leave her at the very least viable, if not still strong at the current state of the game. The changes themselves being an increase to the Guardian Angel cooldown by a full second, meaning this will take much longer before you can recast Guardian Angel after you fly to your first target, as well as the backward slingshot movement speed of her Guardian Angel will now be reduced by 20%, although you can just get around this by repositioning your crosshair, and now some big changes to the way her healing works. Overall, her healing per second has been reduced significantly from her primary fire beam, but when a target is below 50% HP, she receives a bonus heal boost which goes above what she previously could do normally. In addition, her old passive has been removed. It was basically just a copy of the overall support passive anyway, and her new passive is called Sympathetic Recovery, which allows Mercy to heal herself for 25% of all the healing she puts out onto other heroes. What's noticeably untouched with these changes is Mercy's blue beam, her damage boost. So all the one-shot breakpoints that she provided with that beam are still there. Good luck. At the very least, Mercy should be easier to punish now with a much longer Guardian Angel cooldown, but with some adjustments, I'm sure Mercy players will get over this. To be honest, I actually just really hate these changes because it kind of feels like Blizzard is forcing Mercy towards a more heal bot oriented playstyle when the fun parts of her kit are her mobility and that ability to keep up with fast-paced DPS on the flank. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Moving on down the list, let's talk about Ana. And she's actually been nerfed in this patch, but I do think that she'll be strong in the meta. The effects of her biotic grenade have been reduced by 0.5 seconds, which again doesn't really sound like much on paper, but you'll probably feel it in your games. Ever since Kiriko's release, Ana's been sort of pushed to the sidelines when it comes to staple meta picks in the support line, but I think people are starting to realize that she still has a lot to offer. The utility in Ana's kit is frankly insane. She's the only support in the game with any forms of hard CC with her sleep dart, and the effects of her biotic grenade are only matched by Junker Queen's Rampage, an ultimate ability in the tank line. Ana's nade is so strong and it's on a pretty short cooldown. Ana's also historically been a pretty good pick in most dive metas, being able to play at long ranges that can potentially keep her safe or just outplay dives altogether with her sleep dart, and in addition, Nano Boost is an extremely strong ultimate for any dive teams that are looking to go all in. I'm personally an Ana main myself, so this might be a little biased, but I can definitely see her shining this season and I can't wait to take her into competitive. Moving on to some other support heroes, let's talk about Brigitte. Brig's been in a in extremely weak position ever since her changes coming into Overwatch 2, which removed the hard CC from her shield bash. And while she's not getting that CC back, thank goodness, she is receiving some strong buffs to her healing output and an ultimate cost reduction to her rally. And these changes should put Brig in a much more comfortable position going into Season 3. The burst healing in her repair packs now can help her keep up in emergency situations or just help someone recover from a headshot, and the 10% cost reduction on her ultimate is actually massive. You should be getting rally much more often now. And of course, if the meta does start trending towards dive, Brig is never going to be a bad pick, being able to disrupt any divers as well as use her shield and AoE healing to survive all-in attempts. She also has incredible synergy with our next hero on the list, Zenyatta. This is another barely a buff kind of change for Zenyatta. He's got an extra 25 ammo in his clip now, which, don't get me wrong, is nice, but isn't really going to change the way the hero's played or anything like that. But if dive does start coming back, and if Mercy starts falling out of favor, Zenyatta seems like an obvious choice. He's got the damage boosting effects from his Discord orb, which can help his team either shred front lines or burn down a target during their dive. We've talked a lot about how one-shots in the game can feel oppressive. Well, Zenyatta's got one as well with his volley, but he also just has incredibly consistent damage output, again with his Discord and even just with his primary fire. His biggest weakness is definitely how vulnerable he becomes with his lack of mobility and gargantuan hitbox when it comes to focusing him down, and that's where that synergy with Brigitte comes in. So if I were to draft a hypothetical composition going into Season 3, they might look something like this. If we want to play into the dive, we'll of course play the new and improved Wrecking Ball, and we'll probably pair him with a Brig and Zenyatta in the backline because he doesn't require too much healing. In addition to that, we can play basically any dive DPS we want, Tracers, Genjis, Sombras, whoever you like. Or maybe we'll play more into a brawl with either Junker Queen or Reinhardt in the front line, accompanied by probably an Ana and Lucio to get that speed going, and then we've got our bursty DPS, our Sojourns, our Ashes, or maybe our Soldiers if we need more consistency. But what do you guys think of this patch? Are you excited about playing some of these heroes in Season 3? Are you as gutted as all the Mercy mains on the Blizzard forums by these changes? Let us know what you think down in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you're trying to level up your game so you can impress that Valentine this year, you should head over to GameLeap.com. Over there, you'll find hundreds of guides and more being added every single week, all designed to instantly help you rank up and take you from 0 to hero. And this month only, use the code on screen for a special discount. And with all those savings, you can even buy a second membership for your favorite duo partner. So what are you waiting for? Click on the link below and start your GameLeap membership today.